Hello, beauties! I'm so excited to share with you exactly what I went through once I decided that I'm going to create my own product to having a finished product in my hands. Let me pick it up. So this is already my third, fourth, fifth, sixth baby, seventh baby. This is my seventh baby, but I remember exactly what I went through when I started with my first baby, which was the Love Me Journal. So I wanted to create a journal. I've had this idea for 10 years, but what really changed when I went from idea to actually having the product in my hands? First of all, this is beginning of March. I'd say like 1st of March that I decided I'm going to be self-employed and I'm going to make it. And that is a vital step in actually having the finished product. Because when our mind doesn't just think about it, contemplate, has these fantasies, but actually really decides this is what I'm going to do, the universe responds. So I decided I am going to have my own journal. I'm going to be self-employed and I'm going to be successful. And it was like this cut of thinking, planning, fantasizing to I am gonna do this and I'm gonna succeed. And the second I decided with all of my heart that plan A will work is that the ideas came in. People think I had the idea of how the journal looked and what it should be and how my company should be long before, and then I took action. But the fact is that all of the ideas only came in once I actually decided that I was going to do this. So I decided I'm going to create this journal. And then I had this clear vision that it was going to look like a coffee table book, that it was going to really be different to everything you've ever seen before. And I started to create a mood board. Step number 2. Step number 2 was I got a mentor, actually, to be honest. I invested a lot of money into mentoring, because I knew that I needed somebody by my side who's going to respond to my questions, who's going to help me, because I personally struggle if I have an idea, if I have a lot of questions and I don't have them answered, that I'm demotivated. So I invested in mentoring, in somebody who was going to help me along the way. And honestly, that investment to this day was the best investment I made, because I had somebody who responded to my WhatsApp messages, who helped me with every question, who's already gone the path that I wanted to go. And I think that is something we really underestimate, is the power of having a coach by our side, because we do get demotivated. It is hard. And especially the beginning is hard. Because there are so many questions, so many things where we feel like, how do I even start? Where do I begin? What do I do on all of these things? And if we don't have answers to our questions quickly, we get demotivated. And when we get demotivated, we stop and we think that, we're not meant to do this. But I really think that somebody by your side who has already done this, who gives one-on-one mentoring, is a life changer. And also, I invested a lot of money. Invested a lot of money. And you know what? By investing a lot of money, I was determined that this is going to work. Because the money that I was investing, I still remember exactly how much money it was to this day. And I'm probably going to remember in 5 years, because it hurt. And that investment, that stretch of investing, made me go and do it. Made me be like, this needs to work, because I invested so much money in myself. I betted on myself so much that Plan A is going to be a success. Okay, the next step, I created a vision board. A vision board or a mood board, I created a mood board of all the products, of all the things I love. That could be a Rhode lipstick, that could be a coffee table book, that could be a company, that could be an outfit. All of the things I really love, when I look at them, I love the company, I love the design, I love the look, I love the feeling. That mood board, when I look at it, it should reflect how I want my journal to feel or how I want my product to feel. If you don't want to create a journal, then a product. And for this journal, I also created a mood board because even though now I think it is absolute perfection, I actually had 5 different designs that I created and I didn't feel them. I didn't love them. And then I went to sleep. And then the next morning I had this idea and I created this super luxe mood board because I actually created this because I was working together with a corporate company and they wanted this, luxurious, beautiful design that was going to talk to women and men. And so I created a mood board with all of these, I had cars on there, I had Porsche on there, I had Aesop on there, I had beautiful bathrooms in there with marble. So I had all of these things that really made me look at the vision board and that made me reflect that the person that this journal is going to would resonate with the mood board that I created. Does that make sense? So if you buy this journal, I'm pretty sure you would look at the mood board and you would be like, ooh, I love it. That resonates with me. And I think that is always important, who is your customer? Who do you want to sell this to? What is the feeling you want to convey? And I want to create a feeling of, fun, but also, eloquent. I think this is a different feeling than the Love Me journal. And that was also my goal. So the mood board is the next thing. Then I got a graphic designer to help me transform my vision of the mood board of what I wanted it to feel to actually the product. And I think that, there are a lot of graphic designers, but again, here we are at the same point as I said in the beginning. I decided that I was going to give this a go, that this was going to work, that this is going to be a success. And the right people showed up. And I think that is the key, that whenever I was looking for somebody to help me along the way, and even if I didn't really know that I was looking for somebody, I already communicated with God that I needed help, that I needed somebody to bring this vision to life. And then the right people come into our lives. I've literally, since I've been self-employed, every time I needed somebody to, I need somebody for finances, for meta ads, for design, for Amazon ads. Whenever I sent out that desire that I needed somebody showed up quicker than I thought was possible. And that is why I say that one of the most vital steps is really being ready. Really being ready for the unknown. For where am I going? I don't know, but God, I trust you. I put this out there and you bring me the people. I put this out there and you bring me the ideas. I know we're spiritual here, but I also am spiritual and my brand is also based on really being connected and not just going after strategy, but being in tune, feminine, connected, and communicating. And also, not just me wanting something, but actually being like, God, you know the way better than I do. I think faith and trust is a big part in having your own business. So I then had a graphic designer That's actually not quite true. I first created the journal, the inside of the journal, and then I had a graphic designer. So I created the inside of the journal. That process took me, I'd say, 4 to 5 months, because I did not choose other journals. I did not look at other journals. Because I really wanted my brand to stand out as my brand. I didn't want my brand to be a copy from somebody else's brand. So I did not look at one single, I've used a lot of journals, right, during this process of, being on my personal development space. But when I created my own journal, I did not look at other products. Why? Other than the cover. Because I really believe that we sometimes then we don't create our own, but we create a copy of somebody else's. And that is not the goal, right? You are unique, and so your journal will be unique if you are willing to really get all these creative ideas. So I created my own journal from the inside, and it took me, I'd say, 4 to 5 months. I created it in Canva. I asked, I'd say, 50 people for feedback. This process was long, very long. Especially the Love Me journal, right? The Thank Me journal went quicker because I already once, created a journal and things went faster. But with the Love Me journal, I sent the feedback to 50 people. It took me about 4 or 5 months to really create it, even though, the writing part isn't that long. But then the third question always varies. And then in the back, you still have the meditation part. So that was a long process, and I would recommend everyone to send, your product to as many people as possible to get feedback, to reflect on that feedback, to incorporate that feedback. And then I got a designer to design my product. Also somebody who showed up when I needed the person to show up. And who was aligned with my vision and who knew what I wanted. And actually, the first cover she created was very different to what I thought I wanted, but the perfect cover, and the cover that I have to this day. So, and on the way, I came up with the name also by reflecting and talking to a lot of people. Love me, thank me, there's a pattern. And then I asked ChatGPT where I can produce products. And then paper products. And then I wrote to as many manufacturers as I could possibly find. But I always say, when you write to manufacturers, you need to know what you want. If you write to manufacturers and you're like, oh, I have an idea, you need to know how many pages the product you will have. You will need the finished format to send to them. How many pieces do you want to produce? How should your cover feel? How should your cover be? Those are all things you really need to reflect on before you go to manufacturers, because otherwise that process will take forever. And then once I communicated with manufacturers and really explained my idea, I did get a sample. However, that sample was horrendous, because for them to produce a sample, they don't turn on all the machines. So they produce a sample with a different machine, which most often doesn't actually happen to be the same machine as the proper finished product. So you bet on yourself. I was nervous. I still am nervous when I put products into production and I do not have a sample and I produce X thousand pieces. I am nervous. But I think that is part also of the process of being courageous and being willing to risk, and then you communicate with them. And then obviously you need to negotiate your price. And I think what is helpful is, again, to speak to a mentor to know how to negotiate, how many pieces you should produce, who you should talk to. Just somebody who's already been in that field, who has experiences. Because if you talk to somebody and you don't actually have somebody to reflect back on, you will make more mistakes than you will invest in somebody who's going to help you along the way. If I would have not invested in somebody that helped me with creating my own product, with negotiating with production companies, with knowing what I want, I would have paid more mistakes. I would have paid more for mistakes than I would have for that coach. No question. And then, risk it. You risk it. You send off the order. You think about how much you're going to produce. And the first products, I sent them out by myself. We actually sent our products by ourselves the first year. That is my process. I hope I could help you. I hope I could inspire you. Your product is needed. There is a reason why you want to bring out a product. And I believe our desire is our destiny. And you should absolutely bring that product to life and share your gift with the world.